Hi everyone, thanks for joining me for a very special episode of Dropkick DiSKussions. Well, the reason this episode's so special, today I'm speaking with a man who was one of the hottest free agents in professional wrestling up until very recently. Yeah, and there you can see why he was one of the hottest free agents in professional wrestling until recently. So he's just signed for Ring of Honor the past few months or so. You can catch him at the end of this month on the Honor United Tour, running from the 25th to 27th of October in London, Newport and Bolton. Outside of professional wrestling, he's won gold medals for his amateur freestyle wrestling. He's competed at the Commonwealth Games, and in this World Circle, he's competed against legends like Kurt Angle. My guest today is bringing a little bit of prestige to our show. It's the prestigious one, Joe Hendry. How's it going, man?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. So I need to start off in one place. We just mentioned you were one of the hottest free agents for quite a while, and then you finally settled in Ring of Honor. Why was Ring of Honor the place that you were bringing prestige to?
I think that for me, it's one of these things I always wanted to go to Ring of Honor. And it was as early as 2016 when I first did the first UK tour of Ring of Honor. And it was weird. The moment I knew that I wanted to be there 100% was when I was walking to the ring. I was on the way to face Donovan Dijak, and I was looking at the barriers, and that just had so much history and so much prestige, if you will, for me. And I thought, my gut is telling me that this is where I need to be. Now, what a lot of people don't know is earlier in 2016, I actually flew myself over to a Ring of Honor tryout. So when I'm doing my podcast and I'm talking to my trainees and anyone who wants to get into pro wrestling, I'm trying to educate them that, things don't always happen right away. You need to work away at things for years, and that's what this journey has been. I did the first tryout in 2016, then I got my first shot on the UK tour, and on that UK tour, I actually saw the World Television title change hands twice with Marty and Will, which, is obviously inspirational for me, which, leads directly into the opportunity I've got on the tour, which we'll get into later. But then I had a match in Edinburgh with Silas Young for the television championship, which to this day is probably one of the best matches that I've had, in front of the hometown crowd. Then I did another tour at the end of last year, and I had a match with Jonathan Gresham in London that I think is the thing that kind of pushed it over the edge for me. And like you say, I was fortunate enough to have some options. And for me, I go where my gut tells me to go. And I knew that Ring of Honor was the right place for me, and also it's the place for me that they allow me to be me. Okay, the trust is there in terms of like the entrances and the content I'm making and stuff like that. I've been allowed to show my creativity, and all I have to do is show up with a video file. They allow me to keep my process exactly the way that it is. So I'm getting to be who I am creatively, but also I'm in matches. You look at the roster is absolutely incredible. And it's with matches that are pushing me technically every single time that I wrestle for Ring of Honor. So I really feel this is the place that's given me the best of both worlds to really push myself creatively and athletically.
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned it there. We mentioned that you'd been on a few Ring of Honor tours in the UK. Now you're coming back, but under slightly different circumstances because you're signed to the company. What does that do? Does it alleviate some kind of pressure? Does it give you more freedom to go out? How are you feeling getting to wrestle on a tour that's very similar to one you've wrestled on before, but now as a Ring of Honor wrestler?
It's hard not to give a cliched answer, but I'm extremely excited is the answer, because for me, as someone who's not, when I wasn't signed to the company, you never think you're going to, jump straight into a world television title shot, which is what I got against Silas Young. And I really feel like I proved myself there. But now as a signed athlete, I'm looking at the history of that championship, and it's myself versus Shane Taylor in London for the World Television Championship. And it's the thing that I love about Ring of Honor is anything can happen at any time. And like I say, on the tour in 2016, the World Television Championship was won by both Will Ospreay and Marty Scurll, by two Brits on the British tour. And trust me, I am hoping to continue that tradition. That is really what I've been working towards. When I first walked out in Ring of Honor, when I first came in, I had a t-shirt that, my merch says World Champ on it, because, I need to come in with that world championship mentality, and it's in the title. It's a world title, the world television title. So this is really what I've been gearing towards, and I really feel like this tour for me is going to be a huge benchmark, and it's the culmination of a lot of hard work. You know, like you say, when I wasn't satisfied where I was in pro wrestling, it took a lot of balls to just go, you know what, I'm going to prove I am who I say I am. I'm going to start a brand new sport in amateur wrestling. I'm going to become a 2-time champion in both Greco and freestyle and represent my country at the Commonwealth Games. So no one should write me off as an athlete just because I'm, you know, doing these crazy entrances and stuff like that. But really, you look at this tour and look at the quality of the matchups that I've got on this tour. So on the first night, it's myself versus Shane Taylor for the world television title. But not only that, I'm going to get a singles match with Matt Taven as well, who has literally just lost the world championship, one of the top guys in the company. Then I'm getting to face Silas Young once again as well. So those are 3 top quality matchups. And the reason you need to come to this tour is because you're going to see not only the best professional wrestling in the world, but if you're a fan of British wrestling, this is a company that is putting their money where their mouth is. They are investing in British talent. They're flying us over. They're doing what they need to do to get the best British talent, and they're going to showcase that on this tour. So if you want, you know, there's a lot of talk about British wrestling right now and the state that it's in, this, that, and the next thing, but Ring of Honor is putting its money where its mouth is, and they're investing in it as well. So you need to come down and support your British wrestlers.
Definitely, and that's, well, you've given us a fair few reasons why you should go to a Ring of Honor show, but one that you touched on there, I think for me, and there's nothing wrong with being an incredible wrestling company, but mainly focusing on the in-ring aspect of it. But I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions about Ring of Honor. You've just mentioned that they let you be you. You can be Joe Hendry, the legitimate amateur wrestler that's also a very legitimate professional wrestler. You've got all the background on both sides, but you've got that entertainment aspect. And I think that, well, you mentioned being a world champion just without the title so far, but that makes you the whole package. And I feel like Ring of Honor offers that whole package, but it's just maybe people who don't watch it aren't that familiar with it, might not really see the entertainment side. Do you feel like that's something that you can be like the benchmark for Ring of Honor, bring that entertainment side more into the mainstream and get more eyes on the product?
Put it this way, I see everything that I do, I create new challenges. When I reach a new goal, I create new goals. And, you know, I'm kind of old school in the sense that I'm one of these people that believes if you're not trying to be the top talent in that company, then you just need to get the hell out of it. I know a lot of people nowadays will find that offensive, but, you know, make no mistake about it. I'm here to be the world champion. I'm here to be the top talent in the company. And this is a journey. This is my journey into making that happen. And when I first come into companies, you see it all the time. You saw, like, everywhere I've wrestled, it's like I've always started at the bottom and scratched and clawed my way to the top. And I've got this thing that I feel is rarer in this business, which is a desire to be at the absolute top of. And I plan to work my way to the top of Ring of Honor. But just to carry on from what you're saying, listen, to all my opponents out there, just because I'm more entertaining than you doesn't mean I can't bounce you off the canvas as well. Like you say, the prestigious one is the total package of professional wrestling. However, Ring of Honor, I think, has one of the most, if not, it has the most underrated roster in the world. You look at some of the talents that we've got, like you look at, like, for example, the team of Jay Lethal and Jonathan Gresham. You should have seen the match that Jonathan Gresham and Alex Shelley just had at the pay-per-view. It was unbelievable. And again, I'm looking at all the dream matches I've got. Again, I'm getting to face someone like Matt Taven, who's been at the absolute top of the company. I'm going to find out what that's going to be like. Shane Taylor as well, world television champion. His strikes are... He hits harder than anybody else. I've felt strikes before. Me and him went the distance to a 15-minute draw. That's why I have this title shot. I'm one of the very few people that he hasn't been able to beat. So we're going to finish that story in London. So I definitely recommend that you come out there. But again, we've even got people like, for example, we've got someone on the roster called Josh Woods right now, who is just an unbelievable national champion amateur wrestler who just wrestles differently from other people. We've got, you know, a fellow Brit, Mark Haskins, as well, who just brings an intensity that you've never really seen before in someone of his size. He is a phenomenal athlete. He's one of the best wrestlers that Britain has produced. But also, I mean, look at Villain Enterprises, for example. You look at how over, for example, like the team is, but also even like look at the ascension that PCO is making as well. We've got a phenomenal women's division that's phenomenally growing as well. That's continually growing. The company, I think, is going to go from strength to strength over the next few years, and I'm excited that I've joined at this time so we can continue to see the progression that's made. The talent is there. The roster is absolutely unbelievable. And it's funny, you shouldn't always pay attention to the internet as well, because it's like, I'll tell you now, the crowds are growing, they're getting bigger, and every time I go over there, I'm seeing more passion, more intensity from the fans, and I think that there's a momentum here. Ring of Honor is going to go from strength to strength for the next few years. There's a reason that I chose to be in this company.
Yeah, and one of the things that I think personally for me, I'm trying to remember when the first time I actually seen you in a ring was. I think it was almost maybe about 6 years ago or something like that, possibly, give or take. It would have most likely been an ICW. I saw you a lot there, being from Glasgow. What do you think about Joe Hendry back then to Joe Hendry now in Ring of Honor? And what did companies like ICW, What Culture Pro Wrestling, what did they do to give you a launch pad to now be Joe Hendry in Ring of Honor?
Well, here's the thing, like, what I will always credit ICW and Mark Dallas with, and What Culture with, is giving me and WCPW, Defiant, what they did is they gave me a platform and they gave me a chance. Okay, so I didn't, like, at the start of your career, you're not hitting it out of the park every single time, right? But at the start of your career, I was quite, I don't want to say lucky, because I don't feel that I was lucky, because I feel like I was in that training school. You know, the only people, there was a handful of people, that probably less, that were in there as often as I was. You know, I've worked, scratched and clawed for absolutely everything I had. What ICW and What Culture gave me was an opportunity, and it's then down to the talent to take that opportunity and to make the absolute most of it. There's talents who have, you know, had opportunity that haven't used it, but to me, I've never been comfortable. I've never been comfortable. I'd say the only time in my career that I've ever felt comfortable was a point where, you know, I was on British Wrestling, and I was like, you know what, things are going pretty well, things are going great. And, you know, this, that, and the next thing. And that mentality is dangerous, because what that does is that's when you start to stagnate. It's when you think things are fine and, you know, you're comfortable where you are, that is never going to work in pro wrestling. The only attitude that you can have is to aspire for more and to aspire to be better. And I've learned that is the key to success. Like I can be quite a, you know, flamboyant or sometimes cocky or arrogant person, but beneath it all, there is a humbleness about where I'm at and where I need to be. You know, I'm always in that. I've learned you always have to have that student in the game mentality. So no matter what it is, whether it's, you know, in ring, whether it's the promos, whether it's the entrances, or even just like from every detail down to like my wrestling gear or my physique, you have to approach everything like a student of the game. There's the absolute best in the business are always learning at all times, and I think you always have to have that hunger and that desire for more. And you know, I think there's always people almost shy away from wanting to be the top talent, from wanting to get to the top of the business, just because I want to be the champion. Just because I want to be the top talent in the company, that's not necessarily a bad thing for everybody else. In order for me to do that, I'm going to need to be having, you know, I'm going to be delivering, you know, the best promos, the best matches. I need to work to that level. So it's like that. Hopefully, if everyone has that attitude of getting to the next level, that elevates everyone. So I encourage anyone who's in any promotion at any level or any point in your life, just aspire to be better than you were the day before. It sounds very cliched, but if you come at things from the perspective of a student, you're always adding to your repertoire. And how can I just be that little bit better? Now, the difference is when you're in a company like Ring of Honor and you're at this level, it's no longer about, because when you start, it's you know, I don't want to say it's easy because it's hard, but it's not a secret how to get ahead. You know, it's like you get yourself in great shape. If you train more than anybody else, if you practice promos more than anybody else, good things are going to happen. When you get to the upper echelon, you still need to do that. But now it's not necessarily just those basics. We're now looking for those little margins. Because really, what is the difference between, somebody I forgot to mention earlier, like Jeff Cobb, unbelievable athlete. What's the difference? Who's going to be the champion between Jeff Cobb and Roosh? There was a fractional difference between Roosh and Matt Taven. It's these little marginal gains that are going to be the thing that gets you ahead. So you really need to dig deep and really need to think how you're going to evolve your game and find these little marginal gains. So long-winded answer for you, but I'm grateful to ICW and WCPW for giving me those opportunities. But at the end of the day, the talent is the one that has to take what they're given and make the absolute best of it.
Definitely, and all that hard work might pay off on the very first night of the Honor United tour. You could be going into the rest of that tour as a champion. So you mentioned that you're facing off, I believe the first night is London, and that's Shane Taylor. Bolton is Silas Young, and Newport is Matt Taven, I believe. So that's 3 incredible matches. For me, that's 3 dream matches, and that's before you even speak about talents.
And here's
endless talents like Jeff Cobb. But,
and here's if you win a championship, that now changes the dimensions of the matches after that. Because if I can make it happen in London, if I can beat Shane Taylor on UK soil and become, I guess I'd be the first Scottish person to hold a championship in Ring of Honor. If I can do that, then look who I'm immediately having to defend the title against. So then there will be new expectations of me. I'm going to have to deliver on a new level, and these opponents are going to be even hungrier to beat me. So again, I'm going to have to raise my game even higher.
Definitely. I've got one question left. I'm just going to hope that you win that title on the first night, and I'm going to assume that if you do, you're keeping it for the next 2. So you are going to be a Ring of Honor champion. So there's been so many prestigious champions. You mentioned that in one of your promos for Ring of Honor that one of the reasons you came back was because it had the most prestigious championships. There's been so many people that have held them that have been upper echelon professional wrestlers. If you can defend that championship, or eventually the World Championship, well, not as a World Championship, but any of the 2 World Championships in Ring of Honor against any former champion from Ring of Honor, who are you picking for that dream match?
Look, there's only one answer to that. If you've got to pick one, it's got to be Jay Lethal, because he is the franchise of Ring of Honor. When you think of Ring of Honor, you think of Jay Lethal. He's won both those championships. So in order to, in my mind, obviously, if you're the world champion, you're the top talent, right?
Yeah.
But it's always going to be a debate when you put up whoever's champion against Jay Lethal. To me, he is at the very top of his game. He's at the very top of this company. And if you can get in there and you can deliver against Jay Lethal, then you're making a statement that you're at the very top of this company. That is who I think. That's what I'm working towards. So whether who knows what happens? You never know what happens in professional wrestling, but that is the person to beat, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that would be an incredible dream match right there. Thank you so much for talking to me. It's been an absolute pleasure, man, and best of luck for the tour.
No problem. Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks, man.
Before you go, I'll tell you one thing. This is what I'm going to be pushing for. We need to now that I'm here, we need to get Ring of Honor back in Scotland. I was devastated when we didn't have a Scottish day. We need to do that. I'm working on it. I'm going to be pestering management. We got to get back in Scotland. We got to get a Scottish Ring of Honor day.
Man, 100%. I was like, the closest is Bolton, and I'm not sure if I can make it work just with scheduling stuff. I'm really hoping to make it down to Bolton. I'm hoping to try and make it to Bolton. If not, I'm going to see if Newport's a possibility. All the places, that's the one that I'm like, I'm going to try and make it. But yeah, 100% Ring of Honor needs to come back to Scotland. There's definitely an appetite for it, so hopefully it happens soon, man. But yeah, thank you so much, and best of luck. Hopefully I'll see you at one of the shows, man.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, man.